All right, so get this. Imagine a world where the U.S. is holding this like massive stash of Bitcoin, like a digital Fort Knox kind of thing.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's pretty wild when you think about it.
But that's exactly what we're diving into today. We've got all these analyses, pointing to this like potentially huge shift in U.S. financial policy. And it's all about this idea of the U.S. maybe like embracing Bitcoin.
Yeah, embracing Bitcoin in a big way.
We're looking at excerpts from this U.S. Bitcoin embrace, Saylor Summit and Strategic Reserve.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's some big players involved.
Yeah.
We've got Michael Saylor, this guy who's like the Bitcoin evangelist, right?
Yeah.
He's pushing really hard for this. And then there's this whole White House Crypto Summit 2025 hosted by President Trump himself, where this whole Bitcoin reserve idea is going to be like front and center. So could the U.S. really do this? Could they really make Bitcoin a core part of their financial strategy?
It's a really fascinating question, and the fact that it's even being discussed at these levels, I think, is pretty significant.
It shows you how much the landscape has shifted.
Okay, so let's start with Michael Saylor.
Right.
This guy is basically Mr. Bitcoin, right?
He's definitely become a major figure in the Bitcoin world. Yeah, for sure.
He's totally all in on this.
Yeah, as the former CEO of MicroStrategy and now the executive chairman, he's not just talking the talk, he's walking the walk.
Right.
His company holds a tremendous amount of Bitcoin.
They're holding, what is it, like 193,000 Bitcoin?
It's a huge amount.
It's a lot of digital eggs in one basket.
It is.
So what's the strategy there?
Well, for Saylor, it's not just about the quantity, it's about the principle. I mean, remember, he actually stepped down as CEO specifically to focus even more on getting Bitcoin for MicroStrategy.
Wow.
That level of commitment, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, that's serious dedication. It shows how much he believes in Bitcoin's potential, but his proposal for the U.S. government is even more audacious.
Yeah.
He wants them to buy 1 million Bitcoin.
1 million Bitcoin. To put that into perspective, that's almost 5% of all the Bitcoin that will ever exist.
That's right.
What's the logic behind such a huge purchase?
Well, Saylor's argument boils down to this: Bitcoin is the ultimate safeguard against inflation and a possible, weakening of the U.S. dollar. He sees it as this safe haven asset in a world where things are getting, increasingly unpredictable economically and politically.
So it's like a digital gold rush, but instead of panning for gold, countries are buying up Bitcoin.
In a way, yeah. It's a fascinating parallel.
Yeah.
While Saylor is making waves on his own, the White House stepping into the crypto arena with this Crypto Summit 2025 is a big deal.
Yeah.
This event is going to be massive, with major players from the crypto world and government officials all in the same room.
Especially considering some of President Trump's, past comments about crypto, this summit feels like a pretty big shift in attitude.
It is. It's a definite shift. And the timing is also pretty remarkable. We're seeing this summit right in the middle of some serious volatility for Bitcoin. I mean, the price has been swinging between roughly $88,000 and $93,000 lately.
Wow, talk about a roller coaster.
It's a wild ride.
And on top of all that, we have this crypto strategic reserve idea being floated.
Right.
They're actually talking about modeling it after the gold reserves.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, it's a pretty wild concept.
That's crazy.
There's even this proposed Bitcoin Act making the rounds that outlines the goals for this reserve. The idea is to provide economic stability for the U.S. and a hedge against, global instability.
So let's say the U.S. actually goes all in on Bitcoin. What could that really mean for the world?
The ripple effects could be huge. It could potentially set off a domino effect with other countries following suit and adding Bitcoin to their own reserves.
That's interesting. What would that do to the price of Bitcoin?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It's already swinging wildly just on the rumors.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great question, and it's something that, a lot analysts are trying to figure out. Right now, we're in uncharted territory here.
Yeah, absolutely. So to be clear, we're talking about a potential crypto strategic reserve. Does that mean they're thinking about including other cryptocurrencies as well, or is it all about Bitcoin?
Initially, there was some talk about a broader approach that would encompass multiple cryptocurrencies, but with Saylor's, strong advocacy and the increasing focus on Bitcoin's potential as a hedge against inflation, it seems like the narrative might be shifting.
So Bitcoin is starting to look like the star of the show.
It seems that way.
But what about all the other cryptocurrencies out there? Wouldn't they be left behind?
Right, and that's a really important question.
It seems a bit unfair if Bitcoin gets all the attention.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to explore next.
It does seem like kind of a two-tiered system, right? You've got Bitcoin on top and everyone else sort of fighting for scraps.
Yeah, it's it's interesting to see how that's playing out.
What are the experts saying about this?
Well, Matt Hugin, the CIO of Bitwise, he actually predicted that Bitcoin would likely be the dominant force in any U.S. crypto reserve. He called it the predominant core.
Interesting. So it seems like Saylor's vision is gaining some serious traction.
It seems that way, yeah.
But if the U.S. really goes all in on Bitcoin, wouldn't that create this weird situation where the government is basically picking winners and losers in the crypto market?
Yeah, it's a valid concern for sure, and it raises some complex questions about the role of regulation in the crypto space.
Right.
If the U.S. government starts favoring Bitcoin, does that stifle innovation in the rest of the crypto world? Does it create an unfair advantage?
Yeah.
These are all things that policymakers are going to have to grapple with.
Yeah, it's like we're watching this high-stakes poker game in real time.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
The players are global superpowers, and the chips are the future of finance.
The stakes couldn't be higher. If the U.S. does embrace Bitcoin in a big way,
Yeah.
will it be seen as a stroke of genius that secures America's place in a digital world? Or will it be viewed as a risky gamble with taxpayer money that exposes the country to the volatility of the crypto market?
It's a really interesting question, and it really does feel like we're on the edge of a massive shift in how we think about money and value. It's both exciting and a little nerve-wracking at the same time.
I agree. I think it's both. Yeah, it's definitely a time of great uncertainty, but also a time of tremendous opportunity.
Absolutely. So
Right.
let's try to break this down for our listener who might be feeling a bit overwhelmed by all of this.
Sure.
We've got Michael Saylor, the Bitcoin champion, urging the U.S. government to make a bold move.
Yeah.
We've got President Trump hosting this historic crypto summit, and we've got the financial markets reacting with this mix of excitement and fear. What does it all mean? What's the takeaway?
I think the key message here is that we are at a crossroads. The world is changing rapidly.
Yeah.
The old rules of finance might not apply anymore.
Right.
The rise of digital assets, especially Bitcoin, represents a fundamental challenge to the way we think about money value and the role of governments in the digital age.
So what can people do to prepare for this potential future?
The best thing anyone can do is to stay informed and educate themselves. The world of finance is becoming increasingly complex, and it's more important than ever to understand the forces at play. That doesn't mean everyone needs to become a crypto expert, but having a basic understanding of these concepts can empower people to make informed decisions about their own financial futures.
So for our listener out there, what would you say is the most important thing to watch for in the coming weeks and months?
I would say keep a close eye on the White House Crypto Summit. Pay attention to the discussions, the announcements, and the reactions from both the crypto community and the traditional financial world.
Okay.
This summit could be a pivotal moment that sets the course for the future of finance.
So to sum it all up, we're on the verge of a potential financial revolution, and Bitcoin seems to be at the forefront. It's a story that's still being written, and the next chapter could be the most exciting yet.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fascinating time to be alive. That's for sure. The world is changing right before our eyes. And it's up to each of us to decide how we want to participate in this new era.
It's all a bit overwhelming, but in a good way, right? Like standing at the edge of something truly transformative.
I think so, yeah. Like there's a sense of excitement and anticipation in the air.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're standing at the edge of a new era, and it's kind of anyone's guess what the landscape will look like, when we get to the other side.
It is, yeah.
But hey, that's what makes it so exciting, right?
Exactly. It's like we're watching the early days of the internet unfold all over again.
Yeah.
But this time it's about money and value.
And it all comes back to this question, if the U.S. does decide to embrace Bitcoin in a major way, what does that mean for the rest of the world?
It's hard to say for sure, but I think the impact could be significant. Other countries might feel pressure to follow suit, which could lead to a kind of digital arms race as nations try to secure their place in this new financial order.
So instead of stockpiling weapons, countries are stockpiling Bitcoin.
Well, that's one way to think about it. Yeah, it's a possibility, and it's something that a lot of people are talking about.
That's a pretty wild thought.
It is, but beyond the geopolitical implications,
Yeah.
Think about what this could mean for individuals. If Bitcoin becomes a more widely accepted form of currency, it could change the way we think about savings investments, even everyday transactions.
Right. Imagine a world where you're paying for your coffee with Bitcoin or sending money to family overseas instantly and with almost no fees.
Exactly.
It sounds futuristic, but it could become reality a lot sooner than we think.
It could. And even if things don't play out exactly as we imagine, I think one thing is clear. The world of finance is undergoing a major transformation, and digital assets are playing a key role in that shift.
So for our listener who's been with us on this deep dive, what's the one thing you would want them to take away from all of this?
I would say the most important takeaway is this: stay curious, stay informed, and don't be afraid to challenge your assumptions.
Okay.
The world is changing rapidly, and the old ways of thinking about money might not apply anymore. We're entering a new era, and it's full of both challenges and opportunities.
Right.
Those who are willing to learn and adapt will be the ones who thrive.
Beautifully said. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive. It's been a wild ride, and I have a feeling this story is far from over.
Yeah, me too.
We've explored the potential for a monumental shift in U.S. financial policy, with Bitcoin possibly taking center stage.
Yeah.
We talked about Michael Saylor's relentless advocacy, the upcoming White House Crypto Summit, and the global implications of a world where digital assets become a core part of the financial system. And we want to leave you with one final thought to ponder as you navigate this ever-evolving landscape. If the U.S. does decide to go all in on Bitcoin, will it be a brilliant strategic move that secures America's place in the future of finance? Or will it be a gamble that backfires and leaves the country vulnerable? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the world is watching, and the decisions made in the coming months will have far-reaching consequences for all of us. So stay tuned, because things are about to get very interesting.